Now this falls into the artistic category of poses. Now I just wanted to show you this pose because we're not always able to get it, but I'm always thinking about it. So when I go to shoot with a couple, I first look at, is the bride's dress flowy in any way? Because if it is, I'm able to get a lot of movement with her holding her dress. And in this particular wedding, it worked out so well. We had the bride on the edge of a cliff facing the sun, and that's always important. You want the bride facing the light so that it creates this really nice lighting effect on her face. And it was just windy enough to where I knew if she held her dress out and waved it, it would create this really nice flow effect. So what I want to play for you is just the direction and the different shots that Harmony and I got as she did this. All right, so that's all of us on the cliff. And you have me right here, Harmony right there getting the close-up, and bam, I'm getting this awesome epic wide shot, and the direction I gave her was just play with your dress, and Harmony's getting this close-up. This falls into the artistic category. Definitely get it if you can, because in slow motion, we filmed this in slow motion. It looks really epic slowed down.
And just hold it out one side, yeah.
I love having the bride hold out just one side because you can see it's just something about the lines look really nice. And if you notice, we're just having her stand there because there's wind movement that's blowing on her hair and kind of subtly blowing on the dress that I know I can just cut to this shot really quickly in the wedding film and it's gonna look really cool.
And how about you wave it around a little bit?
Okay, so once I've gotten her just standing there with the dress, the next phase I move to in this pose is having her move it in front of her, left to right.
Kind of as you look out, yeah. Oh, dang.
Giving her compliments, making sure she knows she's crushing it, and then Harmony and I both move in for close-ups because as the bride is waving her dress, those close-ups are some of the best shots. So Harmony's right here, just getting the bride crossing her dress back and forth throughout the frame. She's on a 45mm lens, which is equivalent to an 85mm lens on a full frame camera, getting this really close-up shot. And if you notice, we're keeping the direction really simple. Just move your dress back and forth. You don't have to complicate this pose. Just make sure your direction is clear and concise.
Keep doing that, looks awesome.
Again, if you notice, if you watch the bride prep section or the groom prep section when I talked about the phrases that I use, I am using the keep doing that phrase. It is golden, works like a charm. Fourth, you have Harmony in the close-up, me in the wide shot. I don't think these are perfectly matched up actually in this edit, but this is pretty much the exact shots we were getting. So there you go. So if you notice, now this is the key thing I want you to take away from this, is we're not spazzed out. Like, we're actually taking a long time and just letting her continually wave her dress. We're giving very sparse direction, little things like, hey, look that way, or keep going, or you're doing awesome. And what I really want to harp on here is moments like this take a lot of time. You want to sit there for a couple minutes just having the bride continually move her dress, because as the seconds tick by, she's going to get more and more comfortable. She's going to relax her shoulders, and you're going to be able to really fine tune that shot. Now, obviously, you want to be respectful to the photographer. Over here, he looks like he's having a lot of fun, but this is a good friend of ours. He's also the photographer for this wedding, and we told him, hey, give us just a minute or two to get this shot, so he knows what we're doing. And giving yourself a minute or two for this shot allows you to really fine tune the right moments, allows the bride to be comfortable, and then just bringing it back around. You don't want to do this long sequence if you're really rushed, if the coordinator's yelling at you that you need to get inside the reception hall in the next 2 minutes. You want to be respectful. But during this time, it was an elopement. We had a lot of time, so we used it. So if you're doing an elopement or you have more time during portraits, this pose and other pose, really milk them. Let them play out. There's no need to rush. And if you notice right here, Harmony's getting a little bit of an out of focus shot, and oftentimes we'll do that because if you're looking a way to spice up any of your portrait moments, get the same shot you're getting and make it out of focus. It's a really fun other shot that you can use during the edit. And there you have it. That is the bride waving her dress in that artistic category of poses. All right, so I want to show you another example of that intimate pose in the intimate posing category. Now, this is where we have the bride and groom come together and we play music and we just let them experience the moment. So forgive me for the audio here. This was an elopement and there was a lot of wind, but I want to show you this because I think it's another great example of how to get a couple into that pose and I think it's another great example of how to get a couple into that pose, how to incorporate music and the little things you tell them to get them feeling comfortable. So let's play it.
I'm wondering if we switch so that you're more close.
Okay, so the reason I had them switch, so this is something you want to be looking out for. Let's see if I can bring this back before they move. Okay. During your poses, you want to have, especially these intimate poses, like during this moment, you want to make sure the couple's pretty close to one another because them being closer to each other is going to make them feel more comfortable. And what I noticed was there was something in between them where the groom couldn't get super close to the bride. So I had them switch places so that they could be closer. Another thing to look at is right here, this is really nice. The groom is taller than the bride. You always want to try to make the groom taller than the bride because that looks effective in a composition. And sometimes you'll put a couple in the pose and either the groom will be at pretty much eye level with the bride or the bride will be slightly higher because what you've done accidentally without knowing it is you've put the bride up on a higher part of a hill where she's looking down at the groom. And if you're rushed and not really focusing on what you're doing, you could just start shooting and you're going to get your shots back and be like, this doesn't look too great. So before you start shooting, make sure they are able to be close to one another, and that's why I had him move here. And also make sure that the groom is taller than the bride because that's going to look a lot more attractive as well as a better composition.
So that you're more close. Yeah, that's better.
Sorry about the wind again, but just pay attention to how I direct them into this pose.
Yeah, let's see what this looks like. I think this looks, yeah. Okay.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. So let's do, Harmony, do you have some music that you could play? Anything? We could try.
Okay, so I asked Harmony to play some music. And here we go.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do is kind of just, if Harmony can get the music on, if not, just picture it in your mind and kind of have your heads together and a little bit of what we did in the woods where your heads were together and you're kind of just like moving your hands around and kind of like an intimate moment. And so like I loved what you were doing before where you're kind of just stroking his cheek and then, you know, you could just, Marcos, if you wanted to, you know, like put your, kind of tuck a hair behind her ear or something like that. Just like those little cute moments, and you could even sway back and forth and kind of picture yourselves, we're dancing in the middle of here and we're just doing those little cute things. And we're like, I'll be focusing on the hands or like your smiles and things like that. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool.
So bam, there it was, just explaining to them what they're gonna do. If you notice, I made sure to say, hey, you know, Marcos, tuck her hair behind her ear, and Abby, I want you to, you know, run your hand across his cheek. And I'm giving them just little things to pull from so they don't just start listening to the music and they're like, what do I do with my hands? Okay, so The wind got a little too overbearing here, and you can't really tell anything we're saying, but I want you to see what it looks like after that direction. So we started playing the music, and then we just really shut up. And this is the important thing. You want to be quiet. You want them to really imagine that they're all alone. Listen to the music, because that's when the magic happens. So the music starts playing, and I think I just tell them, go ahead. And just right away, like, look at how cute this moment is, and this moment. And this is all in slow motion, so I can slow this down whenever I need to and however I want to really pull out these gems. Harmony went in to fix her hair. You always want to pay attention. Is there hair crossing the bride's face that's making the shot not look the best? There Harmony is getting her close up. And there you have it. They're just fully in that moment, and we're getting all those little details. And we could have filmed this even longer, but you notice they're just swaying back and forth. She's adding in the little hand moments, and when I slow this down, I'm gonna have a super solid moment. So if you're not doing this moment pose with music at a wedding, start doing it. This is our favorite set of shots that we get from the day, because it's limited amount of direction and they're always golden. Okay, so here's another pose that falls into the artistic category. This is one that I don't always do, but when it works, it's really solid. Now this is really simple. You have the bride looking off in the distance, usually towards the sun, and you have the groom walk up to her. And when you film it in slow motion, it creates this very dramatic effect. So here's how I set this up and the shots that follow.
Okay, so Marcos, you're gonna walk over there a little bit, and then Abby, you're just gonna be looking this way. Love it. Okay, so Marcos, you're gonna just walk up to her, and you're gonna go get her and just kind of snuggle in.
Okay, she's like, oh.
And she's like, oh my gosh, my love.
You're out here in the wilderness.
I've been here for days. And you can even turn into him and like snuggle when he gets there.
Go get your girl.
But you don't look at him when he's walking up. You're just looking. You're like, oh, I don't know, my lover's coming for me.
I'm too good for him.
Oh my gosh.
And so, bam, sorry about that. A little sketchy camera work here, but you get the idea of how I am directing them to come together. And so then I just say, go for it. And here you have the bride waiting right here. And I have this wide shot. And what I want is the groom walking in right here, just coming alongside her. And I say, go ahead. And right here you have the groom coming in. And when you put that in slow motion, it just looks so good and silky and amazing. And he's coming in right there. Bam, he grabs her, pulls her in tight. And then I also, right when I'm done with this wider shot, right when I'm done with the wide shot here, then I have them do it again, but I go in for a close-up angle and then have him come in again. She's looking out, and then he comes in right there, and then they go in for that close-up. So here's another pose that you can use in that artistic category. And this is something a little different. That's why it's in the artistic category. And sometimes it works great. Other times it's a flop, but that's okay, because what I want to encourage you guys with is try new things, try poses that you're not sure how they're going to work out, because oftentimes they end up in huge successes, and you want to keep pushing yourself, because that's the only way you're going to get better. So here's another example of kisses along the neck. Now you're gonna see Harmony also filming another shot, but her shot was so similar to mine, and sometimes that happens. So I'm just gonna show you my shot. But here's another example of how I direct the kisses along the neck and just how good it looks. I mean, it's another simple pose that works so well.
Is that too high, or can you reach her?
Oh, no.
Okay, don't go yet. I'm gonna just make sure I got this.
Now I was just asking if he was in a good position, and I'm also just framing up the shot before they start.
Oh, okay, this is amazing. All right, let me get the settings.
So all I'm doing is letting them know, hey, don't go yet, just get my settings all worked out, and then here I go.
Okay, yeah. So Marcus, you're gonna start kind of like at the top of her, right below her ear, and you're just gonna work your way down, little kisses. And Abby, you're just gonna turn in towards him and kind of down and just be like enjoying it as he kisses down. And Marcus, kind of bring your hand up on her shoulder, right there, and just kind of like be rubbing it all the way up here.
So right there, I'm just framing up the shot to get it perfect.
Yes, perfect.
And then here you can see the shot.
Oh my gosh, guys.
Look how awesome this looks. And this is, I'm on a 25 millimeter lens, which is like a 50 millimeter equivalent. And I'm just having him slowly move down her neck.
Are you kidding me?
This is just such an awesome shot. It may look slightly awkward in normal speed, but again, we film all our portraits in slow motion, so when this is slowed down, you get those just awesome gems. Because you have the wind just slightly blowing on her hair.
Just a little smile.
And then I'm just having her, just putting in little things like, hey, just give me a little smile.
Awesome.
Making sure to always provide encouragement, saying like, awesome, you guys are doing great.
Just turn in towards him, Abby. Just love. Yes. Oh, yes. Perfect.
All right, bam, there it is. There's that awesome moment. And then I just went around on a different side to just get a slightly different angle. And let me show you the direction.
And then just make her laugh. We'll switch it up.
I always just like having him whisper in her ear, make her laugh to get some authentic laughing moments during this kisses along the neck.
A little bit. Kind of whisper funny.
Because he's just placed perfectly to be whispering behind her ear, or in her ear.
Funny things in her ear, make her laugh. Maybe vegetables and funny noises.
Whisper your favorite vegetable in his ear.
And bam, like this is awesome, you know, and slowed down, it's gonna look even better. And then I pan down to just get, you know, their hands. I'm always thinking about what are their hands doing, what other little shots can I pull out of this moment. So here's another example of a pose in that adventurous category where the groom is leading the bride. This is probably one of the easiest poses to do, so there's not a whole lot of crazy tips in this section. I just want to show you how easy it is to do. So we're gonna have the groom leading the bride across this epic shot. Now, the most important thing in this adventure pose where the groom's leading the bride is your composition. So I wanna show you, this is the framing we're looking at. I mean, look how nutso this wide shot is. And that's what I first thought of. So when you're getting this adventurous pose of the groom leading the bride, before you even put the couple there, I want you to imagine what would just be an epic landscape shot without a couple. Like what would just look amazing framed on a wall with no one there. Start there. Then once you have that, then place the couple there. And no matter what they do, even if it's not 100% perfect, it's going to look amazing. So I want to show you and play for you my direction. It's very simple of what the couple is going to do. I noticed I was a little far away from the couple and they weren't really getting my direction. So if you see here, I actually tell the photographer to act it out with me. Now this is because we're friends, but if you have your wife there with you, you can also act it out with them, or you know, just be like, hey photographer, can I show them something really quick so they can see visually what you're talking about.
And Marcos, you're gonna lead her. So you're gonna be a good distance in front holding her hand. Does that make sense? Like, oh, I'll show you. So I'm you, this is Abby. Yeah. Like that.
See, so we just, sometimes the easiest way to do things is just show them.
Okay, you ready? Are you ready, Harmony?
And okay, this is another important thing. I'm always asking, I'm asking if Harmony's ready, and I'm also asking if the photographer's ready. Because you never know, the shot you set up, the photographer could really like that shot, and you want to show so much respect by saying, hey, are you ready? Are you ready for me to get this right now? Because it shows that you care and it makes the photographer like you all the more. And then you also want to make sure your second shooter's ready because you want to make sure they're getting a shot. And they both were like, yeah, we're ready.
Oh, even just whatever they're doing right now looks cool. All right, guys. You guys can go ahead.
All right, so I say you guys can go ahead. And then just really simply, look, he's leaning her across, and how cool does that look? I mean, it's so awesome. Again, we're filming this in slow motion, so when we slow it down, it's gonna look even more epic. But like I said, so simple. Anyone can do this. Look for that epic landscape shot first, put the couple there, have the groom lead the bride up, and you're gonna be amazed at the shots you start getting. And this, like, you could just post this on Instagram and it would be super shareable. So that's another example of a pose in that adventure category of the groom leading the bride up, and there they go. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, so here I want to show you another pose that falls into that artistic category, and it can also be in the adventurous category. So what I often like to have the bride and groom do is just stand side by side. So you can see them right here, standing side by side. And I like to have the bride just move her dress back and forth because it looks really beautiful, and I'm always trying to pay attention to, does the bride have a flowy dress and how can I use that? And then, since they're already there, you'll notice what I do is I transition to having them just go in for a kiss. And that's often what I like to do is I like to combine different poses. So I'll start them in just a really simple pose like the bride twirling her dress, then I'll say, hey, groom, how about you spin her and bring her in? So I'm kind of combining various things, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like and the direction.
Yeah, just, I love that, guys. Just kind of wave it back and forth, yeah.
So I'm just really simple direction, just wave it back and forth.
Perfect, yeah.
Giving that positive feedback, telling them they're doing great, perfect.
Just slowly, yeah, like that big kind of swoop it in front. Yes, oh my goodness, perfect.
Okay, so if you notice, I'm just, the reason I had her redo it again, because I noticed she was moving the dress not as big as I wanted it to do. And that's what you're gonna notice is when you have a bride that has a big flowy dress, you wanna make sure to tell her, move it all the way in front of you and all the way back, because that's gonna look the best for video. Because oftentimes if you just tell them to move her dress, she's gonna move it like 2 inches in front of her, and that's what you don't want. So now look, now she's giving those big, I'll show you in a wider shot or in a more close-up shot. Now she's giving those big swoopy movements, and they look really, really nice. And then the way I combined this with another shot is I had her doing her dress here, and I was like, hey, you know, Marcos, just give her a spin. And I love having the groom spin the bride during a wide shot like this, because spins, in my opinion, always look the best in wide shots. So if you have a couple in a wide shot, epic background like this, just keep in your mind, how can I spice it up? And a spin is a great way to do that. And even if you don't know exactly how you're gonna use it in the film, just have the groom give the bride a spin, because it's another shot and another option that you're gonna have during editing. So look, super simple. She's flowing her dress.
And then Marcos, give her a spin around.
Just simple direction.
And bring her in after the spin.
But notice how I said bring her in after the spin, because I want that fluid motion. There it is, right there. Perfection. And another thing I want you to notice is, so I got my wide shots here of them doing her twirling her dress and then her coming in. And when I'm going for my close-up, I'm thinking, okay, what should I get for my close-up? Well, I know that a dress twirling around looks pretty epic in the close-up, so I'm always focused on what is the movement in the shot, like what is moving in the shot, and that's the first thing I tackle in my close-up. So I go in here, and this is my close-up that I got as I moved in. I got the bride.
More flowy, yeah, perfect.
I got the bride just moving her hand through the frame, and then if you notice here, I had them spin and come together. Well, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in for that close-up and have them basically do that pull in one more time so I have something to cut to. So I have them spin again, go in for the close-up, then I go in really close. and I just continue having them kiss and have that awesome moment. And I even say, oh dang, because they're killing it. And I'm just always trying to offer positive feedback and compliments. So there's a really awesome portrait sequence where, if you notice, I pulled a lot out of there. I got the bride moving her dress in this wide shot, then I got the spin around and the pull in, and then I went in for my close-ups of the dress right here, and them kissing and just snuggling. And so this one's kind of an interesting one because I actually combined a bunch of different categories. And as you start to get more comfortable using the posing categories, sometimes you will combine them. Sometimes you'll throw, because if you notice at the end right here where they're just kind of having that intimate moment, that's kind of like the moment pose in the intimate category. And then when she's twirling her dress right here, that's more of the artistic category. And then when he gives her that spin, that kind of falls into maybe the adventurous category. And so I just blended them all together, so you don't always have to only get the intimate category in this certain moment and only get the adventurous, because sometimes they bleed together, and in one moment you could fill 3 or 4 poses in the category. And if you notice, these 3 or so moments that I got, they all flow with one another. So that's something you want to be thinking as well, is during a certain portrait moment, how can you get more than just the one pose? How can you combine poses and do multiple things, because it's going to allow you to move faster and do more things at once. And this really comes in handy when, say, you only have 5 or 10 minutes to get portraits of the couple. You're going to want to try to combine certain poses like I did here so you can get more out of every single moment.